Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. As you've probably been able to tell from the thumbnail or the title of this video, I will be going into depth about the USA versus Morocco game. This will be kind of my analysis and breakdown of what you can expect in the upcoming game. I will be going through and kind of giving who I think should play and why, as well as who I think Berhalter will pick and why. And I'll be going into depth about the possibility of our three-back formation and what that might look like, and then also talking about what it might look like if we just keep our standard 4-3-3. But with that being said, let's go ahead and get into things.
I'm sure a lot of people have already seen the roster or maybe seen videos on the roster, so I'm not going to go into crazy depth. I'm going to try to, make this move pretty quick and then get into the actual lineup that I see fit. But going very briefly over the players, we have Ethan Horvath. Now, he's a guy who plays a big backup role in the championship. However, his side did just win promotion into the Premier League, so he might be a Premier League goalkeeper next year, but I don't really see him as the starter. Then we have Matt Turner. Matt Turner, he's a guy who, out of these three, is probably the best when fully healthy. However, he had an injury for a while, and he's only come back to play the last 5 games for his MLS side, New England Revolution. Thirdly, we have Sean Johnson. Now, he's a guy who was just pulled into camp last minute. Zach Steffen was supposed to be in this camp. However, he had to draw out due to family issues. But Sean Johnson and New York City FC have been on crazy form, and in his last 6 games, he has not allowed a single goal. Next, moving on to our 4 center backs in this camp, we have Cameron Carter-Vickers. Cameron Carter-Vickers, he's been on the Scottish side Celtics this season, and he is arguably the best defender in that whole league. He made it on their best 11. They call him Fridge. He's a no-nonsense center back. He just isn't a guy you're going to see making a lot of mistakes. Then we have Aaron Long. I've been kind of impressed with Berhalter recently. However, this is the one position that really makes me mad, and you'll kind of see in a minute why. I just don't see why we don't have John Brooks in this camp. Aaron Long is someone who is out for a very long time. He plays at a very average MLS level, I would say. But, he's in the camp, so we'll have to make do with what we have. Next, we have Eric Palmer Brown. Now, he is someone who has kind of come out of nowhere this season. He's gone to Troyes, which is in the French league. So he's competing at the highest level out of these players, and he's been getting some meaningful minutes. So it'll be interesting to see what he can do over this international break with the USA, as he isn't really someone who's played a lot of minutes with us, at least not recently. Then we have Walker Zimmerman. Walker Zimmerman is kind of a lockdown starter under Breg recently, especially paired up with Miles Robinson. However, Miles Robinson tore his Achilles, I believe, and so he's going to be the first player rolled out of Qatar for 2022. Really sad not to see him, but it does open up some spots for these guys like Cameron Carter-Vickers, Eric Palmer Brown. Walker Zimmerman is also very reliable, but we kind of know what he can do, so I'm not sure how much Greg is going to experiment with this side. Next, we have our fullbacks. So we have George Bello, left back. He plays a little bit in the Bundesliga. He's not a super important player, but when he's in, he does a pretty decent job. Then we have Reggie Cannon. Reggie Cannon plays for Boa Vista. He's kind of the same. He's on that right side. But I kind of see him behind Joe Scally and DeAndre Yedlin, which I'll get to in a second. Next, we have Anthony Robinson. Anthony Robinson plays for Fulham, who won the championship, and so he will be in the Premier League next year. I still think he's going to be their starter, so I think going into Qatar, he's going to get a lot of valuable minutes on that left side in the Premier League. Next, we have Joe Scally. He's another young teenager who just kind of broke out of nowhere and played in the Bundesliga a lot this season. He started off as kind of an important player, wasn't getting the same amount of minutes towards the end of the season, but he's still young and has a lot of ways to improve. And then we have DeAndre Yedlin. Yedlin is a guy who just made a move back to MLS because he wasn't really getting it done in Europe, and he's kind of just been, he's done what he has needed to do. We've seen him in a lot of previous camps, so I'm sure Berhalter is going to like having his experience on the side. Then moving into our first set of central midfielders, these are more of the defensive midfielders. So firstly, we have Kellen Acosta, who obviously gets a lot of love and a lot of hate at times. He's someone that our fan base can be pretty impatient with. He'll have very great moments with the U.S., but sometimes he doesn't perform, and he'll get a lot of hate on that, especially because he's an MLS guy, which I'm not trying to stick up for him, but we do treat him a little bit unfairly at times. Then we have Tyler Adams. Tyler Adams, when he's on form and playing games, I mean, he's a lockdown defensive mid for us, very important player. So I expect to see him in all the sides we have when healthy. Then we have Luca de la Torre. Luca de la Torre is someone who plays in the Eredivisie League over there in the Netherlands, and he does a good job, especially with the USA. We see him play pretty good, so we'll see what he has to offer throughout camp. Then we have Christian Roldan, plays for the Sounders, and he's been doing pretty good for the Sounders. You know, they won the CONCACAF Champions League. However, in the MLS, they've been kind of hot and cold. So he's has been a pretty important player for them. So we'll see what he has to do for this camp. Moving on to the central mids, we have Weston McKennie as the first one. Obviously, everyone knows Weston McKennie, just as important as Tyler Adams when they're both healthy. However, Weston McKennie missed almost the entire second half of the season with Juventus, just playing in some of the final minutes on their last game. So I don't really expect to see him start in many games, at least not this first game against Morocco. Then we have Halkovic. Sorry, I'm not sure if I fully know how to say his name yet. He's another guy who's been doing very good in the MLS. He's a question mark for me right now, as he just went down in a game on Saturday, and I haven't seen them say that he's pulled out of the MLS camp, or sorry, the USMNT camp, but I'm not sure if he's going to be fit enough to play for us. Then we have Yunus Musa. Yunus Musa, obviously a young teenager, plays for Valencia in La Liga. He has not been getting a lot of minutes with his club, and so that's a little concerning. He's probably not on his best of form, especially missing a penalty in the Copa del Rey final a couple of weeks back. So moving on to Malik Tillman, he's a guy who was kind of with the Germany's system, not the senior side, but like the under 23s, under 21 team. But he's just decided that he's going to represent the USA. So now he's going to be a part of the USA, which hopefully is big for us. So obviously we haven't seen much of him, so he's kind of a guy that's unproven. So he will definitely be one to watch through these upcoming camps and games. So then moving on to the wingers, we have Brendan Aronson. Obviously, he just made the $30 million move to go play at Leeds United in the Premier League. So a lot of people are going to have their eyes on him and Jesse March next season. Then we have Paul Arriola. Sorry, I keep butchering these names. He's made his move to FC Dallas this year, and he scored in his last 5 games. So, you know, he's been doing pretty good in the Premier League, and I'm sure Berhalter loves that. Then we have Jordan Morris. Jordan Morris, he is another guy who just kind of plays the backup role for Christian Pulisic whenever they're both healthy. He did just score for the Sounders last night, which I got to witness. He missed a lot of easy opportunities and made some big mistakes, but he came through when they needed him. All right, so then we move on to Christian Pulisic. Obviously, when healthy, he's going to start all the games for us. He's a very good player. However, he's someone who we might see leave Chelsea this summer to go somewhere else where he can maybe be a more important player coming ahead of the World Cup. Then moving on to the strikers, we have Jesus Ferreira. Jesus Ferreira, I believe, is still the top goal scorer in the MLS, so he's done great this season. We have Timothy Weah. Timothy Weah could kind of be listed as a winger or a striker. He was very quiet for his French side Lille throughout the season, but in his last 3 games, I want to say he had 3 goals and an assist or something like that. So he came into form right at the end, so we'll see if he can carry that into international camp. And then we have Haji Wright, who plays in the Turkish league. So it's a smaller league, but he's killed it. He has a lot of goals. And I want to say this might be his first camp with the USA, so we'll have to see what he can do. Anyway, I wanted to go ahead and get into the 3-back formation that Greg Berhalter was talking about playing. So I just kind of wanted to analyze that and show y'all what that could look like. Okay, so this is kind of how I see Greg Berhalter making a 3-man back line for the USA. I'm going to try to keep this very simple. It'll move a little bit, but hopefully that can help people understand things. So as you can see, all the way on the left side is the green dot. So that's going to be our goalie. So the 3 players you see above him are that 3-man back line that I was talking about. Then we kind of move into a 4-man midfield, and keep an eye on those guys all the way to the outside on that 4-man midfield, because those guys are going to be doing a lot of tracking back and forth, which is very important to the system. Then you kind of move into having 2 guys right behind the strikers and a more central. They're almost like wingers. Like you're going to have a Christian Pulisic on that left side, right? They're almost like wingers, but they're going to play a little more central at times. And then you have your striker who's just up top in the middle, in that 9 role. So the way it's going to work is when we come back to defense, like I said, these wingers, almost wing backs, fullbacks, however you want to see them, that were on the outside of that 4-man back line, they come back and almost make a 5-man back line, with the 3 center backs already there. And then you're going to have those central attacking mids, or like Christian Pulisic, they're going to come back into what is now only a 2-man midfield, and they're going to make it a 4-man midfield, right? So you have both of those outside sets kind of dropping back to form another pairing on the defense. So you almost have a 5-4-1 formation now, with 5 in the back, 4 midfielders, and 1 striker. So this formation is going to be very helpful on defense. It's going to create 2 big solid blocks, where hopefully the Moroccan side is not able to get through. Now we kind of come back and transition back to our 3-4-2-1, and then this is what I see it look like when we are going forward. So now you're still going to have 3 guys in the back, and then you're going to have the 2 midfielders trying to hold on to space, a little bit outside the box, maybe splitting between the midfield and then the 18-yard line. And then now you're going to have those outside mids. Like I said before, these guys are going to do a lot of tracking, coming up to make almost 5 up top, right? So this is going to be a very attacking formation. This is obviously a more simplified version. Once we actually get into it, you probably see a lot of overlapping and underlapping from the outside mids and then the attacking mids. You're going to see I have Anthony Robinson on the left side. I see Anthony Robinson and Christian Pulisic, overlapping and underlapping throughout these games. But this was just kind of the simplified version. So with that being said, let me go ahead and show you who I have selected to play these positions. Okay, and now getting back to showing you our guys. Here is the 3-4-2-1 formation. This is how I want to see it drawn up, and then right after I will show how I think Berhalter will line the guys up. So in goal we have Ethan Horvath. I know Sean Johnson, if we're really going for the win, Sean Johnson is probably the most informed keeper. But, with these first 2 friendly games, it's really not all about trying to secure the dub. A lot of it is getting guys experience and stuff like that. So I've gone with Ethan Horvath because he's a guy that we need to get up and playing. He's shown before that he can be out of form with his team and still be able to come in for the USA and make an impact. Plus, I think these minutes are needed for him as he needs to find another move before Qatar so he can start getting those minutes. Then on this left side, we have Aaron Long. Now, I'm not throwing shade at Aaron Long. It's got to be shade at Berhalter. He's the guy who makes these picks. Whatever him and John Brooks have going on, it needs to be squashed because in this 3-man back line, all 4 of our center backs are right-footed. We don't have anyone who's a natural lefty, can play on that left side. And John Brooks, I think, is our best center back. Either way, I don't think it should matter. He should be in camp. He should be on that left side. But Aaron Long is the next best option we have. He's the only person who has played on that left side. I just don't think he's a natural fit, especially in these 3-man back lines like this. Next, we have Eric Palmer-Brown. He's a guy who usually plays in a 3-man back line in the central role, and I'd like to see him playing, so I've put him in my lineup. New guys. So next, we have Cameron Carter-Vickers. I might have done Walker Zimmerman a little bit dirty with this one. But, I've seen what he can do, and I think it's time we give some other people a shot. Cameron Carter-Vickers, in my opinion, was the best defender in the Scottish Premier League. I've watched a lot of his gameplay recently, and he's just going to get the job done. He's a no-nonsense center back, and I think we can really rely on him. Then going into that left mid position, Anthony Robinson, he's a lockdown starter for me on that left side. No question. I don't think his backups can do anywhere near what he can do. Then we have Tyler Adams. Tyler Adams, like I said, I think he's going to be in these lineups since he's healthy. He's the most reliable person we probably have in this midfield. So put Tyler Adams out there for me. Next, we have Yunus Musa. Yunus Musa might be a toss-up. There's a couple guys who could play here, like Luca de la Torre, but I'd like to see him play. He was struggling with Valencia before the break. He's still young. He's a teenager, and so let's get him some minutes in these games and see what he can do. Next, we have Joseph Scally. Joe Scally, however, he prefers it. I'm not too sure. But I'm going to put him on the right side over Yedlin. Scally is someone who has been called up to camp before, but hasn't necessarily played. And I think he's better than anyone we have in this right spot, so I want to see him playing. Next, we have Christian Pulisic on that left attacking mid side. He's a lockdown starter. I don't think I need to say anything else. Then we have Brendan Aronson. Now, this is one that could kind of be tossed up between maybe Malik Tillman, Brendan Aronson, and Timothy Weah. For me, he just got that $30 million move, so why not put him there? Let's see what he can do. I'm sure he's riding off a high right now. And then at striker, this could go between maybe Jesus Ferreira and Haji Wright. I haven't seen what Haji Wright can do yet. These friendlies, for me, I more want to see experimenting. So I'm going to go with Haji Wright. He is someone who has absolutely killed it in the second half of the Turkish league. And so I'm going to put him as my striker. And then this is how I see Berhalter making things. So I think Berhalter will actually keep Horvath in the goalie. It's three great options. I wouldn't be mad with any of the three, but I do think he will have Horvath starting. Then we have Aaron Long. Obviously, I think he keeps the MLS guy. He's really the only person who can play there in this three-back position. He puts Walker Zimmerman in for me, which, I mean, I'm not too mad at. I can see why he'd do it. He starts a lot of games for the MLS, so he can kind of show these other center backs and be a good leader. And then I do think he keeps Cameron Carter-Vickers there. He kind of mentioned him in interviews, so I think he has Cameron Carter-Vickers starting if we play this three-man back line. And then the next two, obvious, just like I said, we have Anthony Robinson and Tyler Adams on those left sides of the midfield. I'm not going to say too much more. Yunus Musa, I think he actually will still stick with Yunus Musa, although I could definitely see him playing Luca De La Torre instead of Yunus Musa in this midfield. Then Joe Scally. This one kind of hoping for Berhalter will experiment a little bit and keep Joseph Scally in there. I don't necessarily know if he will, but I'm going to put him in there. Then Christian Pulisic, he's a lockdown. Paul Arriola, Greg Berhalter's going to love his MLS guys, and Paul Arriola has already scored 5 goals, which I think helps me put Jesus Ferreira up top because those two are partners in crime at FC Dallas. Jesus Ferreira tied for top goal scorer in the MLS right now, so using a little bit of Greg's MLS bias, I'm going to stick those two as the right attacking mid and the striker. Next, I'm going to go over if we do go to our standard 4-3-3. So this is how I would like to see our 4-3-3 if we do it. So still going to keep Horvath in goal. Anthony Robinson now, instead of playing that left mid position, is now just going to be a straight fullback. So he's going to be the left fullback. Eric Palmer Brown, Cameron Carter-Vickers, I had them in my last lineup. The good thing about this 4-3-3, maybe we lose a bit of versatility, but we don't have to have Aaron Long in there, which I think is a W for us. So no Aaron Long. That's kind of the big benefit, I guess. And then you get to add another winger or attacking mid up there. So Eric Palmer Brown, Cameron Carter-Vickers, I've already talked on them. Joe Scally, he's who I would like to see as my right back. Tyler Adams as the defensive mid, holding things down. Then I'm going to actually put Luca De La Torre. I think as just a regular 8 in this kind of system. Luca De La Torre works really good, and he just fits the USMNT system. Then Brendan Aronson is who I'd like to see as the attacking mid. Like I said, he just made the $30 million move to Leeds United. So I just want to kind of see him playing, see what Leeds is really getting over there. Christian Pulisic on the left side. And then for me, I would put Timothy Weah on this right side, who has just come into form with a Lille right when the season was ending. And again, I'd like to see Haji Wright as my striker. And this is what I think Berhalter will do. So, like I said, I think Berhalter will keep Horvath in the middle. To me, Anthony Robinson is the lockdown on that left side. He will start. And then I definitely have it different for the rest of the 3-back line. I think he goes with Aaron Long on the left side just because Berhalter favors him. I don't know why. I don't think he should be here. And then Walker Zimmerman going to be on the right side, which kind of expected. You see him play under Greg Berhalter all the time. And then DeAndre Yedlin going for more of that experience. I think Greg Berhalter might do it that way. And then moving back to the midfield, Tyler Adams, lockdown starter. Then we have Luca De La Torre, who's going to play in that 8 position for both me and Greg, I think. He does good things for the USA. And then Yunus Musa, I think Greg Berhalter favors Yunus Musa a little bit over Brendan Aronson from what I've seen his decision-making being other camps, which this is not really a bad decision, I'd say. It's just I think the one Greg Berhalter would make, so I'm going to put Yunus Musa up top. And that attacking mid position, and then Christian Pulisic is going to be on the left side. It's I don't really see anyone taking a spot. Timothy Weah, I know Greg Berhalter prefers a Timothy Weah on that right side instead of a Brendan Aronson, from what it seems like to me. So Timothy Weah is going to be on that right side, and Jesus Ferreira, just because that's someone who's been called up in the camps before to play striker more often than not for Greg recently. So I'm going to stick him up at striker.
Okay guys, so I'd originally had a little different ending of this video, and I was just about to put this video out, and I just saw that Morocco is actually coming to the US without 5 of their best players, so it's going to look a little different. I'd originally talked about how the Moroccan side probably still has a little bit of the edge talent-wise, but even though we're a young and more inexperienced team, how I thought we still have more unity than them because their coach causes a lot of problems. It seems like the locker room isn't fully there, with a case like Hakim Ziyech, the Chelsea player, who is only 29, but he doesn't even play for Morocco anymore because he dislikes the coach. But Morocco is going to be without 5 of their best players, including Hakimi and Mazraoui, who are their 2 best right backs and probably within their top 5 players in their player pool. So with that being said, I do think we take the edge now on talent. And no matter what with our side, I think this is a very winnable game, so I'm definitely going to be looking forward to it. I appreciate everyone who watched the video. Go ahead and like, subscribe, and comment if you would like, and I'll see y'all next time.